All right, guys, welcome back. So in my last video, I talked about my two primary defensive lights and the pros and cons of them. The biggest one on this one was just how they ordered the different modes. I really wish the full power mode was at the end of the little slider that slides all the way down. Where it should be is right there, but what you get is the little 5 lumen thing. You have to move it to the second to the last row in order to get your full output. I don't like that. It should be the other way around. The defensive mode should always be the fastest to get to, and that means all the way at the end, zip it out, and be done with it. Okay. Now, that being said, this does have a lot of capability as a all-around EDC light, magnetic base. It's good for working in attics, around metal stuff. It has lots of output. It has a side light. It has a lot of reasons to use this as an everyday carry light. Very, very good light. Okay. Not to mention it runs off of your bog standard 18650. Mwah. Okay. Next we have my Next Torch TA70, which is a powerhouse of output. You've got 3,500 lumens from a triple emitter setup, pushing lots of power. The big problem I have with this one is that the switch system is not great. The tactical or the duty mode, which is the constant on, is a separate mode from the tactical mode, which only gives you momentary. So you can't have an instant high output that stays on. It's not possible on this one. And the reason for that is in the duty mode, when you click it once, it's in low power. Then you have to bump it up to high power. Okay? But then if you turn it off and you go back again, it's back to low power. So you never get that high output, constant on function from this light. And I don't like that. Because in the TAC mode, you get momentary max output. And if you click it, where my preference would be that you get that full output and it stays on, instead you get strobe. And I don't like strobe. In my opinion, most people don't need strobe. So I really wish that the strobe would be like a double tap function, and then the constant on would be the click function. If that clicked on, and then if you want to double tap it to get that strobe, if that's what you want, that's what that should be. Which brings me to this little guy. This is the Wuben X5. This is their newest release, and for my preferences and my own experience and priorities, I think this is the best switch system for any defensive focused EDC light that I have found on the market. And I've used so many different lights. I've used the Next Torch, I've used Wubens, I've used Night Cores, I've used Well Tools, I've used Surefires and Streamlights and O-Lights. I've used all of them, tested all of them. Most of them, for whatever reason or another, I just didn't like. I didn't like the ones that had no removable batteries. I didn't like the ones that had really wonky button locations, like the ones where the buttons are all on the side and you don't have a thumb button. All those different things, I just booted them. And it all boiled down to these two. And now, this one for me. The X5, I don't know how they did it. Well, I'll explain how they did it. But they figured out a way to put all the things that I wanted in the two modes in the Next Torch into one mode and one button on the X5. Now, it doesn't have all the light functionality and the kind of Swiss Army knife functionality of the X4, but the features that it does have add a lot more utility than a lot of EDC focus or defensive focused EDC lights, and they benefit me specifically in my particular profession. So that's also a good thing for me. And I'll just go through it right now. So the X5 has 3 modes. It has a lock in the center. You have a UV mode, which allows you to use your little UV inspection light. And as a roofer, I use that a lot in attics and stuff to look for mold and water damage and things like that. And then it also has a little green laser pointer, which allows me to point out those damages and issues to homeowners and inspectors. So those two functions are great for me in my profession. Where this thing really shines for defensive use is actually in the visible mode. Now the visible mode all runs off, and the UV mode, they both run off of the top button. This button is for the laser. It doesn't matter which mode it's in, the laser just works. It does what lasers do. The button, however, and the switch system function of this thing is exactly perfect for defensive light. And I'll show you how. So where the next torch has two separate modes, one that's momentary only and one that's constant only, the X5 only has one mode, and it only has one momentary function. The momentary is that, just the light is turned on. It's turned on at whatever power you have it set to. Very nice, okay? When you click it in that mode, it's constant on in that mode. And then if you want strobe, you get strobe. Double tap, you get strobe. It is everything that I wanted in the next torch. Okay? Now, when I'm in that constant on function mode, I can tap to change the output. All the different types of output. Now, if I'm in the middle and I turn it off, it stays in that middle output. Yay! Then I constant on, I can turn it up, and then I can turn it all the way back down, and it'll stay in that down position. Or I bump it all the way to the top, and it stays in the top power. Perfect! Yes! Yes, Wuben, you've done it. Okay? Now, here are my two gripes, which for this particular application are not deal breakers for this light. The first one is that it uses a proprietary 1200 milliamp hour battery pack, okay? And these battery packs don't have their own charging port, so you have to charge them in the light. So if the battery's dead, the light's not usable until you charge the battery. With the exception of this thing having the ability to run off of 4 AAAs in a pinch. So if you need the light right now and your battery pack is dead, you got a couple of AAAs that you can toss in there in a pinch, it'll work. It's not going to give as much output, it's not going to give as much runtime, but it'll work. So it's a minor gripe because this isn't like a survival light. You know, it's not something that you're going to be out searching the woods for stuff with. It's a relatively small, compact EDC light. And everybody has USB-C chargers coming out of there. I probably have 12 of them around the house somewhere. My kids have more, my wife has more. USB-C is just ubiquitous. So I'm not really worried about that. The other gripe I have is the output. And even though it's a gripe, I understand why they have why this particular light has the limitations that it has. Now, this only pushes about 1300 lumens, and I'm pretty sure it's less than 20,000 candela. So it's a lot of flood, not a whole lot of hot spot, not a whole lot of push through. It's not going to be blinding people behind sunglasses at 50 yards like a heavier hitter will. But I mean, you've got these really small emitters, really narrow, really shallow emitters, and there's only so much focus that you can get out of this much output with emitters that small. So you're going to get a lot of spread. But for a handgun light and a handheld light, it's not a deal breaker for me. 1300 lumens with 20,000 candela, it will get the job done, and it'll be slim, fits in the pocket really well. So right now, this X5 is my favorite handheld defensive focused EDC light. It has enough features to make it worth using for more than just defensive use. It has the perfect switch system and ergonomics for a defensive light. And if NextTorch could take these buttons, this system, and put it on this light, this would be the light of all lights. Conversely, if they could take this light and maybe add a triple emitter setup to it, then this thing will be a powerhouse, and this will be the light to end all defensive lights. So as far as I'm concerned, right now, these two are the ones to beat. This one for its output, this one for its ergonomics. There you go. Wuben X5, NextTorch TA70. And NextTorch, I'm telling you, if you ever see any of these videos, you are really close to being top dog. Just take my advice. What I said about this, put it here, all right? Hope that helps, guys. On to the next one.